It is a dark age. A bloody age. An age of war. The gods are cruel, and we are their playthings. But this is no game. It is ceaseless war, with the old world its prize. Many seek the path to victory, but only one can stand glorious over all. From the Badlands come the orcs and goblins, a green tide of brutal creatures that must be stopped. In Sylvania, the dead rise again. The vampire counts march forth. The mighty dwarf kingdoms, long thought diminished, are resurgent under their high king. And at the old world's heart stands the Empire. Karl Franz must prove worthy of the Warhammer. Then there is chaos. Its corrupting, changing taint despoils all before it. Only the strongest will endure. War is upon us. It is unending.
Hey there guys, Kane here, and welcome to Total War Warhammer, a game that I've been waiting quite some time to play, very well anticipated for the end of this month, and coming in off the tail of Dark Souls 3 and Stellar is something that I found a little bit difficult to schedule in. But here we are, and what we're going to do is start a new campaign. I'm looking to play through, hopefully, the full amount of the campaigns. Of course, if you're not unfamiliar with Total War, they usually have different victory objectives for each faction. In Total War Warhammer, of course, is taking the Warhammer faction to the Warhammer world. We have the Empire Man, the Dwarves, the Greenskins, which are orcs and goblins, the Vampire Counts, which are vampires, naturally, and the undead, and then we have, of course, the Warriors of Chaos, who serve the ruinous powers of the old gods, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Khorne, and Nurgle. But at this point in time, the Warriors of Chaos don't really feature too much in the way of specialized god-based units, as it were. You're not going to find any Nurgle Rotlings or any Demonettes of Slaanesh or any of the different types of Flamers or Birdmen of Tzeentch or any Khorne Berserkers, no, unfortunately, or Bloodletters, that's true. Fortunately, it is a Chaos Undivided approach, which means that these Chaos Warriors under Archaon, the old one, or Archaon, sorry, the Champion of Chaos, is undivided, so they worship all the gods equally and seek to earn all of their favor. But I think for this playthrough, we're going to play as the Empire. For 2.5 millennia, the Empire has formed a bulwark against the encroaching forces of destruction, but the realm is in constant turmoil, beset on all sides by enemies ferocious and foul. Yet it endures, for mankind has a steely determination not merely to live, but thrive. The Empire's armies are mighty, large regiments of disciplined troops, led by valiant warrior generals and supplemented by the arcane will of battle wizards, as well as powerful machines of war. A new emperor has recently been crowned, but he is untested and not the candidate many elector-counts wanted. And at a time when dark clouds gather in the north, so begins the age of Karl Franz, and he has much to do. Unite the Empire, secure its borders, and bring prosperity to its beleaguered citizens. The twin-tailed comet blazes across the sky once again, but is this an omen for good or ill? So you can see old Karl Franz there on Deathclaw in the little view window. The Empire, if you're unfamiliar, is basically a section of human-controlled lands, kind of smack dab in the old world of what is Warhammer Fantasy. To the north, they have the Norskins, which are somewhat of a Viking culture, barbaric, cold climate living peoples. Further north still are the Warriors of Chaos and the Chaos Wastes, always constantly threatening total Armageddon upon the world. To their east, they have the Dwarves, and of course the Vampire Counts, which plague a certain section of Empire land, Sylvania. To their west, they have the Bretonnians, a sort of Arthurian legend-based human faction that gets along and doesn't get along with the Empire very often. And to their south, they have the somewhat Italian, somewhat Spanish human lands, and then further to the southeast they have the Greenskin tribes in the wastelands past the dwarves. And of course the Greenskins are always a thorn in everyone's side because they just want to loot and destroy and crumble and break everything and smash and grab. So playing as the Empire, we're going to be using a lot of regimented infantry, lots of shields and spears, and kind of like classic Total War staples. Of course, one of the major differences, being a Total War Warhammer game, is that there is magic, as evidenced by that man with the flaming beard on a Pegasus. Things are going to be a bit different, so magic is very important to use, and it's very much a tide turner in battle. So you have to pay attention to that. Of course, the Empire has access to a good number of the lores of magic, since they have the the colleges of magic, or the colleges of battle magic. So they train wizards in order to be battle wizards specifically. So very cool. Some of the faction mechanics, these have already been modded out, my god. But each faction will have different mechanics available to them. So as playing as the Empire, we can only capture territory belonging to the Vampire Counts or any other human factions except for the Norska. For the Norskin peoples. So we can capture Vampire Counts territories and human territories and occupy them and build settlements and build up our people there. We can't do that with Dwarves, we can't do that with the Orcs, we can't do that with Chaos or anything like that, because that's just not where our people are keen to settle on. There's no reason for us pretty much to do that. But we can attack and raise those settlements. So if we want to go into Dwarf lands because they piss us off, we can set fire to their dwarf holds and take all their cool stuff. We're just not going to end up setting up a colony there. We have offices. Different lores may be assigned into offices, granting them unique title and bonuses. And we have our technologies are branched. Our branches are linked to various buildings, so pretty standard. Our playstyle, plentiful confederation options, allowing the Empire factions to be merged with the Emperors via diplomacy. We have a balanced unit roster. Our Empire is fractured at the moment, whereby the provinces of the Empire are ruled by elector-counts, over whom the Emperor has a tenuous control at best. We have very numerous enemies. Of course, our initial challenge is normal because of that. Our top units are pretty cool. We have the Luminarch of Hysh, which is somewhat of a long-range magical sniper rifle. That has a very long recharge time, but it's good for taking out big beasts and single units. So you'd want to use it against something like an enemy hero or one of the big ogres. We have, of course, our Demigryph Knights, half lion, half eagle, which is pretty fucking terrifying, if I do say so myself. And, you know, of course, if that wasn't the worst thing, upon it, striding into the battlefield, is one of the best knights the Empire has ever produced, clad in full plate mail. These come in groups of 24, so basically they are Rage of Beak and Claw, a Madness of Steel and Fury, pretty much. And then lastly, we actually get bloody tanks. The steam tank, which is a pretty cool, it's almost steampunk. It's a very, almost inspired from Leonardo's drawings of his, Leonardo da Vinci, of course, his drawings of machines of the future, such as his little gyrocopter and whatnot. It's a little rumbling steam tank that has a steam gun on top, so think riot police, but melt your face off instead of just knock your ass to the ground. And of course, a nice big old cannon, you know, the classic. But cool. So our victory objectives, of course, there's a long campaign and a short campaign. Short campaign, we need to capture or basically control all provinces of the Empire, either by direct ownership or through vassal and military allies, and these provinces. We need to reclaim Sylvania from the vampire counts, so eastern and western, and we need to make sure that any of the presents belonging to the Warriors of Chaos exist only in the following region, Chaos Waste. So we need to push back their military advance, the Warriors of Chaos, and push them into the Chaos Waste and keep them away from any of our lands. And of course, we need to make sure that Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, is in a wounded state, so we need to defeat his armies, wound him, and send him back to the Chaos Waste to truly claim that we've laid a victory over the impending Chaos invasion. Long campaign doesn't differ too much. We just need to make sure that we destroy the vampire counts instead of just taking back Sylvania. We need to make sure that no trace of them exists, and otherwise that's the only difference. So when we jump in, we get 2 different playable great lords, I should say. Our faction leaders, we have Emperor Karl Franz, the powerful melee fighter and leader, can unlock Deathclaw, unique griffin mount capable of flight and ferocious in combat. We get character movement range plus 5%, and we get minus 10% upkeep for Reichsguard and Greatsword units. Also, we get additional starting units of halberdiers, handgunners, and Reichsguard. Very cool. The other one that we have here is Balthazar Gelt, a very powerful Lore of Metal wizard, can unlock a flying Pegasus mount, not as cool as Deathclaw. Now, Balthazar Gelt was once a very promising student of the Battle College, I believe, under the Lore of Metal. But having been so ambitious, he accidentally suffered a freak, I think it was like an explosion or some sort of a magical catastrophe that scarred most of his body, and now afterwards he has not been seen about without that metal mask on and his golden robes. But his power has increased tenfold, and thus has become the cardinal of the Lore of Metal school, and I think the grand, like the leader of the whole Battle College entirely. Citation needed on that, but pretty cool guy. He gets, of course, Battle Wizard hero capacity +1 and upkeep for Battle Wizard heroes minus 25%. It's a very casting focused. He starts with Outriders, Great Swords, and Mortar. Pretty cool. Between the two, of course, Karl Franz steals the show. Balthazar Gelt is kind of neat if you want a secondary playthrough. We can actually hire him as friends anyways, so. We are going to go with Karl Franz, and of course we're going to be playing on normal this time through. There are a couple of different difficulty settings. You get different achievements on Very Hard and Legendary. Legendary, you do not allow manual saves. Orders cannot be issued when a battle is paused, so it's a little bit more of a hardcore. We're going to go with, we'll go with normal. Next time I think I might play on some Very Hard or Legendary playthroughs if I'm keen on it. So let's start it off. You should have a little introduction to the faction leader here, which might be pretty cool. And of course, I've heard that there are some legendary load times at the moment, unfortunately. But Total War Warhammer, pretty cool. I can't wait to see what sort of DLC is supported under this, since they have some pretty ambitious plans. And if you're familiar with the Warhammer Fantasy Universe, there's a lot of content that they can add to this. I played a few quick battles with Matthew before I started playing this. It was like the other day. And thus far, it feels pretty good. Things die quick. It gets really bloody really fast, and you have to make sure to leverage your magic quite efficiently elsewise. Well, bad things happen to good people. Beyond that, we had some really silly battles. Like, I think it was like 7,000 zombies versus a line of Imperial artillery and handgunners, and that went pretty well. And what's more is we most likely will be playing a multiplayer campaign parallel to my campaign playing here. So you guys will get to be able to see myself go up against Matthew and Brendo in glorious PvP. I think I'll be playing the Greenskins for that campaign. I believe Brendo will be playing the dwarves, or the dwarf, and Matthew will be playing most likely the Warriors of Chaos, perhaps. Speak of the devil.
The drums of war never cease. For the old world lies in great peril. A strong leader is needed to unite the Empire, the greatest of mankind's nations. As gods battle for the world's fate, I make my own humble contribution. In the employ of the newly anointed Emperor. Even now, we make haste to the Emperor's ancestral capital. For the demented Arachnic Spider-Claw leads an attack on Altdorf's walls. My charge is Karl Franz, the true wielder of Gal Maraz. But as he fights to secure his status as Emperor, will his reign strengthen the nation? Or lead it to ruin?
Men of Reichland, Greenskins assault our capital. Theirs is a vile race Sigmar swore to expel from our lands, yet they dare return. Join me, men, for I will not rest until every accursed goblin lies burning on a pyre.
The Goblin army lies ahead, Emperor. They are preparing for an attack on Altdorf. See for yourself.
Alright, so I guess we get thrown right into it with a little bit of a introduction to old Karl Franz. It looks like, oh god, there's goblins and orcs already. Getting feisty with Altdorf. I'm just gonna try to skip over the tutorial a bit. We've got... oh, it's gonna take me. I guess we're doing the tutorial.
The enemy from all sides, sire. Be sure to join the fight yourself.
Let's move up our halberdiers. Halberdiers are pretty good. They're going to be really good against anti-large. They're basically like spear infantry on steroids. They're going to hold their own a lot better, but they don't have shields. So you got to be careful against missile attacks. And of course, we have Karl Franz himself, the legendary leader of the Empire of Man. Or I guess not even the... oh, I keep calling it the Empire of Man. That's 40k.
Remember as you fight.
Yes. So, of the Empire. And of course, he was renowned for leading the charge himself and going into battle personally, unlike some of the other emperors of past. So let's get right into it. Bloody hell. Got a couple of abilities. In Total Warhammer, you really have to pay attention to what your abilities your units have and what they're good against, because they do kind of follow tabletop rules, in that certain units will not want to be engaged in other units. Yes. So we're going to do a bit of a run with these guys since they're pretty fresh still. Same thing with Karl Franz. He has the ability to augment himself with a charge bonus, speed, and vigor. And he gives a hold the line augment to the area for charge resistance and leadership. So these guys have a pretty good charge bonus. If you press I, you can pull it up. It's, where are you? Oh, actually only +8 actually. It's not that great. So, but what we want to do here, and just like, classic Total War, is flanking bonuses and stamina make really big differences here. So we're going to line our halberdiers up for a good charge. Karl Franz is just like looking in pure anger that he can't get involved with these orcs, these orc boys. And now we're going to pull in for a great charge, alright? Yeah. Charging right into the orc boys. Orc boys! Nasty beasties. Like, I guess like they're hunched down, but normally they're like 6 feet of angry green muscle. Let's get Karl Franz involved, because what are you doing over there? We're going to give him his Foe Seeker augment, and he's going to come in with Galmaraz, the Hammer of Sigmar. Sigmar being basically the warrior god of the human empire. He, a long time ago, founded the empire, then probably fucked off into some place that no one really knows about. But he was that Conan-looking dude that they were worshipping or like having a vigil over the statue of. So we're doing pretty well here, of course. I mean, naturally, there's just a couple of orc boys and some goblins. The goblins themselves are weedy little runts. They don't have really high leadership, so they're going to rout quickly, and they're really not that great in melee either. What they do have is that they're cheap, and they, they bog people down. So if you want to get like a couple of different types of goblin groups holding down an elite set of infantry or elite set of units, they can hold them down and wear them out. Oh yeah, oh, we get another one. Okay, all of them are now under our command. So what we're gonna do is Sigmar. Oh god, there's trolls. Alright, so our halberdiers are probably best used against those. We do have some handgunners here. We're gonna move them to the side. Handgunners have, unlike crossbowmen, they have a armor-piercing value, which is good against trolls. I'm pretty sure trolls have... Oh, actually only have 30 armor, so it's not that bad. But they do have a lot of health, and they are going to be... They are going to be regenerating as trolls do. So we're going to get Sigmar involved. And we're going to get those halberdiers in because they have an anti-large bonus, which means they're going to do better against cavalry and against any sort of monstrous units. Alright, handgun. No, you're facing the wrong way. Turn that way. Oh, yeah. Not quite the same effect as a unit of riflemen. Oh god, they're bringing more trolls. A unit of riflemen in, let's say, Fall of the Samurai, but still pretty cool. Alright, we're gonna move Sigmar, or not, I can't keep calling him Sigmar. We're gonna move Karl Franz up, and what we're gonna do is try to pop that buff. Oh no, we didn't get in on time. Get the halberdiers involved here before, hopefully. Alright, our dude's got attacked. Our handgunners got attacked by the trolls. Gonna pull him back. We have to tar pit these trolls, elsewise they're just gonna keep retreating and getting back involved, and when they do that, they heal up. Let's see how... So, one thing you might notice if you played other Total War games like Rome is that they've removed the old, well, I guess the new but old system of individual combat duels, which increases performance quite a bit, but means that sometimes... Nope. Uh-oh. It means that sometimes units kind of just like fling around at each other. Alright, we need to get our spearmen and our swordsmen involved. We've got some spider riders coming in, some goblin spider riders. Oh god, they're so creepy. Look at that. They're trying to skirt us around. They got really fast movement speed. And wow, things are getting a little bit desperate here. They're going to overrun our dudes there. Let's grab you, give you that charge bonus. And get old. Oh, Karl Franz got knocked down by a giant spider. So we're fighting our leader now. He's on a dog. He's a goblin shaman. And our spearmen can do pretty well against him, so I'm fairly confident just to leave them like that. Our halberdiers are doing well against the trolls, but our handgunners seriously need help, so we're going to have to pull them back, let the trolls retreat and heal. We got some wolf riders coming in, causing trouble, and more there. We're going to get our swordsmen in. The nice thing about goblins is they scare really easy, so let's line up that there. Alright, here comes the trolls back. So the trolls they're such creatures of opportunity in that they always will run after whatever's easiest, since goblins and greenskins, they do love a good scrap, but at the same time, if it's an easy scrap, it's a better scrap. The more blood and the less orcs that need to be spent on it. Alright, and once the gunfire from the handgunners comes in, we clean up real good. Oh, you bastard, he's running. We didn't get their leader though, so he'll come back to plague us one day. But Altdorf, for now, as I believe it has been protected, we're going to clean up some of the leftovers of the goblin archers, and there's a couple of trolls taking the fight to our allies here. Oh god, he's getting slapped around. That's like not the way you want to go. Well, they're taking friendly fire from our artillery. Alright. Now they're fleeing. Let's see if we can't, yeah, we'll get a few shots in on them. Yeah, there we go. Close victory. So normally, that was like a fast way to get into things. Normally with a Total War game, sometimes you want to spend some time running down enemy units at the end of the battle, because you want to reduce the amount of units they have available to them in the overworld campaign. But this being a sort of set piece opener, that's just the way it is. Pretty cool. Nice. Let's go. It was a close victory. You've won the battle, but do not celebrate too much, for the gods will look ill upon he who came so near to defeat. I don't know what gods you're talking about, because I only know of one, and his name is Sigmar, so that's some heretic tooltips right there. Oh, and the dwarves. Look at those mustaches and those glorious beards. And that's my favorite part about the Empire foot soldiers, is that they have fantastic mustaches, but nothing really does beat a dwarf beard, especially a dwarf metal beard. That beard is part of his helmet. That's how dedicated they are to fantastic facial hair. And of course you can see Thorgrim Grudgebearer in the background, the High King of the Dwarves, and his big book of grudges, which I think during this playthrough we'll probably have a few grudges placed against us. I feel like the dwarves and I might come to blows from time to time. And what's pretty cool is when you play as the dwarves, you get that book of grudges as a gameplay element. Actually, one of the I think it's the long victory conditions, is to make sure that there are no grudges left in the book of grudges. So basically you get a grudge every time somebody pisses you off or does something against the dwarves. You take a dwarven capital, or a dwarven town, it's a grudge.
The Greenskins run for their burrows,
there we go.
Emperor.
The campaign,
Their
man.
dead and dying litter the field. Altdorf is safe for now.
Alright, so back to the classic Total War overmap. Look at that. It actually runs pretty smoothly too, unlike Rome 2. I had some difficulties from time to time. There's the Moot, Castle Tempelhof, Essen. Alright, well, let's get back to Altdorf. Altdorf being the center of old Karl Franz's power, converging on 3 rivers, which, you know, makes it a very useful trading port. Of course, the river leads out into the sea to the north, and this river leads all the way to Tablaheim. Which, was it Tablaheim? I always forget where Mordheim is. That, and there's another one that got hit by a meteor, and I think that was Tablaheim. Anyways, we'll not pay attention to that. It was built in the crater of meteor, sorry.
The capital may be secure, yet many enemies still. The lands to the north of the Reich are controlled from Middenheim, my emperor. Elector-Count Boris Todbringer, Graf of Middenheim, was a rival claimant to the throne, and bitter that you have taken the
Boris Todger, more like. Okay, so we have him there, and then we have Marienburg.
The wealthy city-state of Marienburg lies to the west. It seceded over 70 years ago in a corrupt deal that brought shame on the Empire. And this city would surely make a glittering prize for your burgeoning reign.
As you can see, Karlberg has pastures. It's considered a strategic location. But not very high in wealth or income. But if you look at Marienburg, look at that. We've got dyes here, which is a strategic resource. But look at that wealth and income. Damn, that is pretty high. It would be very useful. And then down below we have Grunberg.
Secessionists hostile to your election as emperor are trying to form a breakaway province to the south. They will mobilize against you and march against Altdorf when their strength is sufficient. The secessionists cannot be allowed to defy your rule and field their own armies. The time to move against them is now, your eminence.
Alright, so we select
Bring
Karl
me to my
Franz,
men.
and this shows our army. We always have to be led by some sort of a general, in this case our legendary lord. We have movement range here, his rank, as lords do level up and gain abilities, just like sort of like the tabletop, in that you can purchase equipment, change things on them. What do you want me to do? Advance Karl Franz towards Grunberg? Okay, we shall go towards Grunberg then.
My orders are to move.
Look at him run.
Good. Such decisive action will leave the enemy in no doubt as to your intentions. They will be forced to fight or to capitulate.
Alright.
More men stand ready to take up arms for your cause, my emperor.
So we have the unit recruitment, this is our treasury, this is our predicted income. Now if we select Karl Franz, we can go recruitment, and then this is basically, since we're in an area, they're going to be recruited here, and they're going to come to us. It's only going to take one turn. So let's buy, what do we have here? We have some swordsmen, some halberdiers, and spearmen, some handgunners, crossbowmen, and Reichsguard, kind of like one of each. So let's go with, we should get
As is my right,
two
by
spearmen,
Sigmar's crown.
and then we can have, or two swords, actually let's go with two spearmen, one swordsman.
Excellent.
So local
choice,
recruitment, we
Lord.
only have
Be
3
aware
slots.
that your army must remain stationed.
And of course, you must stay still
Improvements
to
may
recruit.
be made to your capital now that the threat to its security has
Yes,
receded.
yes, yes.
Altdorf, improvements may be
Don't
made to
don't
your
say it again.
capital.
So here's
Your
Altdorf.
Eminence, I suggest you upgrade the training
Oh,
facilities,
yes, I shall.
allowing you to field better forces to face your enemies.
So what we have here is a training field. It is on the training field that soldiers first learn the most important attributes, that of discipline. And shows unlocks recruitment of spearmen and swordsmen. We have our growth in the town here. And that's basically, as the town grows, we can unlock more building slots. And that's how long it's going to take to grow. Our taxes, we can decide not to tax it, but taxes, of course, bring down public order. We have 2 different values of corruption, both vampiric and both chaos. When people start to become tainted, bad things are going to happen. And then we have untainted, which means it has extra attrition for undead armies. Very cool. We have the capital, Altdorf, which is currently a village, the current capital of the empire and seat of Reichland emperors. Altdorf is a large cosmopolitan city port full of wonders and danger. And this is a unique building tree, Altdorf, all the way up to the city-state, and allowing us to have additional garrison and whatnot, that jazz. It also has a port, which is pretty cool. I actually haven't seen anything about naval battles. I don't think there are naval battles in this game. So that's not something. I mean, in Warhammer Tabletop, there wasn't technically naval battles either, unless you played Man of War, which was discontinued, but now is back on the table, which is pretty cool. So we should, in fact, go level up from a training field to a rally field. On hearing the call to muster, it is to the rally field the regiments will gather, and unlocks recruitment of halberdiers, which also need blacksmith, crossbows and spearmen with shields, and unlocks different technologies. We can see what is unlocked by these tooltips here, which is really cool, and also what they might also require, which is blacksmith and then armory for the greatsword. So we'll build that.
Excellent. The Imperial Engineers.
And what else do I
Emperor,
want to do?
By Sigmar's will, there is nothing more you can do now. Let us await the enemy's
Alright,
response.
and so of course, naturally in any Total War game, it's divided into a turn-based system on the overworld, allowing yourself to go and then the enemies to all go kind of in succession. So, very neat. It's very classic. I mean, there's other aspects that we're going to delve into in the next episode, such as diplomacy and the fielding of larger war machines, and of course magic. So thank you guys for watching, and before I hit that end turn button, I'll leave you in suspense. Please like or dislike as you see fit, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment on what your hopes are for the series and perhaps the prospect of bum tumbling with the boys in the future. My name has been Kata Hain. You've been wonderful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.